15 years. That's how long I believed my marriage was untouchable. A house in the suburbs, 2 daughters who still kissed me goodnight, a wife who smiled across the breakfast table. If you'd asked me yesterday, I would have sworn I won life's lottery. This morning, I came back home to grab a file I'd forgotten. I wasn't supposed to be there. She didn't hear me walk in. Her phone lit up on the desk. 4 words froze me where I stood. Can't wait tonight, my love. Signed with a name I knew too well. Ryan. My hands shook. My heart slammed against my ribs. 15 years, 2 children, and 1 text that turned my life into ash. Dozens of messages spilled across the screen. Plans, hotel rooms. I love you. And that was the moment I realized. The man who'd been sharing her secrets wasn't just anyone. It was the last person I should ever suspect. People always said we looked like the picture-perfect family. Lauren, my wife, had a way of turning chaos into order. She was an architect, precise, polished, the kind of woman who could make a birthday party look like a magazine spread. Our oldest, Olivia, 12, carried that same sharpness. She was the kind of kid who corrected my math when I checked her homework, who already talked about college like it was around the corner. Chloe, 9, was the opposite. Soft-hearted, affectionate, the one who'd crawl into my lap on movie nights and fall asleep before the credits rolled. We had the house most people dream of. Trimmed lawn, 2 cars in the driveway, neighbors who waved while walking their dogs. Vacations twice a year, Sunday dinners at the Coles, Lauren's parents, where laughter filled the table. To anyone looking in, we were unshakable. And until that morning, I believed it too. Mornings in our house had a rhythm I thought would last forever. I'd make coffee, Lauren would slice fruit, and the girls would tumble downstairs half awake, already bickering about who got the bathroom first. We'd crowd around the kitchen island, Olivia scrolling through her tablet, Chloe with milk on her upper lip, while Lauren reminded everyone of schedules. I kissed her at the door every morning, a ritual so routine it felt sacred. I love you, she'd say. I love you too, I always answered, never once doubting the truth of it. Weekends were no different. Saturday soccer games, Lauren cheering louder than me. Sundays at her parents', the Coles, where the table groaned under roasts and pies, and I was teased as their perfect son-in-law. Around that table, with Olivia's laughter ringing out and Chloe curled against her mother, I felt invincible. That's the cruel thing about betrayal. You only see the cracks once the house has already started falling. If you asked me what made our marriage work, I'd never have said money or vacations or even love. I would have said trust. Trust is everything. It's what lets you close your eyes at night beside someone, certain they'll be there in the morning. It's what keeps a man steady when work is hard, when bills stack up, when life throws punches, because he knows, without question, his wife is in his corner. For 15 years, I trusted Lauren the way you trust gravity. It wasn't something I checked or questioned. It just was. When she said she was working late, I believed her. When she smiled and said she loved me, I never doubted it. My girls trusted her too. To them, their mom was a compass, always pointing true north. Looking back, I realize now, the most dangerous lies are the ones told so smoothly, they make you forget to ever imagine a world without trust. It was supposed to be an ordinary Tuesday. I had left the house like always, kissed Lauren at the door, promised Chloe I'd check her math homework that night, told Olivia not to roll her eyes at her teachers. By mid-morning, I was halfway across town when I realized I'd left an important client file on my desk at home. Annoyed, I turned the car around. That decision, something as small as a forgotten folder, changed everything. The driveway looked the same. The house was silent when I stepped inside. Lauren's car was in the garage. I figured she must be working in her home office. I walked upstairs quietly, not wanting to distract her. That's when I saw it. Her phone buzzed on the desk, screen lighting up the room in a way I'll never forget. 1 message, 4 words. And in that moment, the life I thought I owned shattered into something unrecognizable. The phone buzzed again, sliding a little across the polished wood of her desk. I wouldn't have looked. God knows I never snooped through Lauren's things. But the screen lit up, bright as a spotlight in the quiet room, and the words burned into me before I could look away. Can't wait tonight, my love. R. I froze. My first thought was that it had to be a mistake. Wrong number, some spam text. But my name wasn't on the screen. Hers was. Lauren, my wife. The woman who kissed me 2 hours earlier and told me she loved me. My hands started to shake. My chest tightened like a vice. 15 years, 2 children, a house, a life built brick by brick, and it all cracked open in a single sentence. I wanted to believe it was nothing, but deep down, I already knew. Nobody signs my love by accident. I told myself not to touch it, to put the phone back down and walk away. But my hand moved on its own. One swipe, and the screen unlocked. Her code, the same one she'd once teased me for forgetting. The message thread opened and my stomach dropped. There weren't just a few texts, there were dozens, then hundreds. Weeks of conversations, stretching back months. I miss you already. Last night was perfect. I love you. Each line felt like a knife, cutting deeper than the last. Plans for hotel rooms, lies about late meetings, excuses I remembered hearing word for word in our own kitchen. 6 months. That's how long it had been going on. 6 months she kissed me goodnight, laughed with our daughters, sat at Sunday dinners, while writing love notes to another man. I scrolled until the screen blurred, my vision burning with rage and disbelief. And that's when the sound of footsteps came down the hall. I couldn't breathe. My chest heaved like I'd run miles, but I hadn't moved an inch. My hands were trembling so badly I almost dropped the phone. It felt heavy, like holding a live wire that was burning straight through my skin. My throat went dry, my pulse hammering in my ears. I wanted to throw up. Every word on that screen, I love you, can't wait, you're mine, twisted my stomach into knots. My body knew before my mind could catch up. The woman I trusted most had been lying to me every single day. I stared at the wedding band on my finger, that small circle of gold that was supposed to mean forever. Now it felt like a shackle. My mind raced through 15 years in seconds. Our vows, our daughter's first steps, the nights we laughed until we cried, and all of it suddenly felt contaminated. Then I heard it. Her footsteps, light and careless, coming closer down the hall. The door creaked open and Lauren stepped in, smiling, a mug in each hand. "Good thing you came back," she said lightly. "I wanted to show you some sketches." She didn't notice at first, me sitting stiff in her chair, the phone glowing in my grip. She set one mug on the desk, steam curling between us. Then her eyes lifted. She saw my face, pale and hollow, and then the screen. Color drained from hers in an instant. The second mug slipped from her fingers, hitting the hardwood with a sharp crack. Coffee splattered across the floor, the cup rolling in pieces like bones. For a heartbeat, we just stared at each other, me with the evidence clutched tight, her with trembling hands, lips parting but no words forming. When her voice finally came, it was a whisper. "David, I can explain." And I remember thinking, almost laughing, "Explain? How do you explain this?" Explain. My voice sounded foreign, low and cracked, like it was coming from someone else. I lifted the phone, the words still glowing on the screen. "Can't wait tonight, my love. Who is Ryan, Lauren?" Her face twisted, panic flickering behind her eyes. It's not what you think." "Not what I think?" My hand shook as I held the phone higher. "These messages talk about hotels, lies, sneaking out. Tell me what exactly I'm supposed to think." She took a step toward me, hands trembling. "David, please, you're overreacting. He's just a coworker. We joke around." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Jokes? You call this a joke?" I scrolled, reading aloud. "I love you. I need you. Last night was amazing. That's not a joke, Lauren. That's a choice." Her lips quivered, denial crumbling, but still she whispered, "I love you, David. You have to believe me." 15 years of keeping my temper, of swallowing frustrations, of being the calm one. It all split open at once. My chest burned, my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. I slammed the phone down on the desk, the sound making Lauren flinch. 6 months? I shouted, my voice echoing through the walls. 6 months you've been lying to me, sleeping in my bed, kissing me goodbye, telling me you love me, and all the while sneaking around with him? She shook her head frantically, tears spilling. "It wasn't like that. Don't you dare," I snapped, pointing at the shattered cup on the floor. "Don't you dare look me in the eye and tell me this is anything but betrayal. You've made a fool out of me, out of our family." The room spun with fury, doubt, humiliation. For the first time in 15 years, I wasn't sure who I was looking at anymore, my wife or a stranger wearing her face. 6 months, Lauren. The words scraped out of my throat like broken glass. Half a year you've been living a double life under my roof, smiling at me across the dinner table, holding our daughters, planning vacations, while sneaking away to him. Her tears ran faster, but she didn't deny it. That silence was worse than any excuse. I stepped back, gripping the edge of the desk to keep my balance. Do you even understand what you've done? Every memory from the last 6 months, Grace losing her first tooth, Olivia winning her math competition, the night you whispered you loved me, all of it is poisoned now. Because while I believed every word, you were lying. She reached for me, desperate. "David, please." I pulled away. My voice rose, sharp and final. "Don't. You chose this. You chose him. And now you've destroyed everything we built." For the first time in my life, I felt our marriage snap in two. My mind ran backward, racing through 6 months like a film reel I couldn't shut off. Grace lost her first tooth. I remembered Lauren clapping, taking pictures, kissing me after we tucked her in. Now I wondered, did she text him that night too? Olivia's math competition. She stood in the crowd beside me, squeezing my hand when our daughter won first place. I thought her pride was for our family. Was she secretly thinking of Ryan while cheering? Our anniversary dinner, 14.5 years. We laughed over wine, shared dessert, came home and made love. I can still hear her whisper my name, but now I know, hours before, she'd probably messaged him. Every smile, every kiss, every "I love you" in those months has been contaminated. I thought I was living in reality. Instead, I was living inside her performance. And the worst part was realizing how perfectly I had believed it. "Dad?" The voice froze me where I stood. I turned and saw Olivia in the doorway, backpack still slung over her shoulder, eyes darting from me to her mother. She must have gotten home early from school. Lauren wiped at her face so fast it almost looked rehearsed. "Sweetheart, we were just..." Olivia's gaze locked on the shattered coffee cup on the floor. "Why are you yelling?" Her tone wasn't scared, not yet, but suspicion sat heavy in her eyes, 12 years old going on 20. I forced my breathing steady, unclenching my fists. "It's nothing you need to worry about, Liv. Grown-up talk." She tilted her head, sharp like her mother. "But you never yell." The weight of those words crushed me. She was right. I never did. And here I was, red-faced, shaking, with lies and betrayal burning in my hands. "Go to your room," I said gently. "We'll talk later." I watched Olivia's eyes narrow, searching my face for answers I couldn't give. She deserved the truth. God knows she's sharp enough to see through half-truths. But how do you tell your 12-year-old that her mother isn't the woman she thought? So I swallowed the words clawing at my throat. "It's okay, Liv," I said, softening my voice, forcing a smile that felt like glass cutting my mouth. "Mom and Dad just need to talk about something private." Her lips pressed tight. She wasn't convinced, but she nodded and headed upstairs, footsteps slow, reluctant. I waited until her door clicked shut before I let my shoulders sag. Lauren was already crying again, but all I could hear was Olivia's voice echoing, "You never yell." She was right. I never did. And I swore in that moment I wouldn't let my daughters see me break, no matter how shattered I felt inside. When the silence stretched too long, I snapped. "Say his name, Lauren. Don't stand there crying like you tripped and spilled coffee. Who is he?" Her lips trembled. For a second, I thought she might lie again. But then her shoulders sagged and the words slipped out, barely audible. "Ryan." The name hit me like a fist. My mind raced. Ryan Mercer. The project manager she'd mentioned a dozen times. The man she said was helping with deadlines. The one she laughed with at that restaurant when we'd run into him by chance. I had shaken his hand, sat across from him at dinner. I even told her once he seemed like a solid guy. My stomach twisted. It wasn't just any stranger. It was someone she had invited into our world, made me look him in the eye while she was already sharing her bed with him. And that, somehow, cut deeper than all the texts combined. The image slammed back into my mind like a bad dream I couldn't shake. That night at the restaurant, Lauren and I walking in hand, and there he was, Ryan. He stood up from his table, easy smile, confident handshake. Lauren introduced him like it was nothing. "This is Ryan, my co-worker on the mall project." I remembered how she looked at him. Polite, professional, I thought. But now I replay it frame by frame. The way her eyes lingered half a beat too long. The way her laugh came quicker, lighter, like a secret only they shared. I brushed it off then. Why wouldn't I? She was my wife. I trusted her. Now the memory turned my stomach. I had sat across from the man trading small talk about sports and deadlines while he was already stealing the woman I slept beside every night, and she let me smile at him like a fool. 6 months. That number clawed at me like a curse. Half a year where every memory I cherished is now stained. Grace's first piano recital. Lauren sat beside me, squeezing my hand when our little girl hit every note. I thought we were proud parents together. Now I wonder if she texted him afterward, telling him she wished he'd been there. Olivia's birthday party, 12 years old, streamers across the living room, Lauren baking cupcakes from scratch. I kissed her in the kitchen while the candles burned, believing we were celebrating as one. Was she thinking of him then too? Even the smallest things, her humming while folding laundry, her head on my shoulder during late-night TV, none of it feels real anymore. It all feels staged, like I was an audience member watching her play the role of wife while the real story unfolded in hotel rooms and secret messages. And the betrayal gutted me deeper with every memory. I stumbled out the back door, the cool air hitting me like a slap. The yard looked the same as it always had. Fresh-cut grass, the girls' bikes leaning against the fence, Chloe's chalk drawings fading on the patio. Ordinary signs of a family I thought was unbreakable. I gripped the railing, staring out at the lawn, and asked myself the question that burned. What matters more, protecting the family we built, or protecting the truth that could destroy it? For years I told myself family came first, no matter what. You fight through storms, you keep the walls standing. But what do you do when the rot is inside the walls? When the one you trusted most is the one tearing the foundation apart? My daughters deserved a home built on honesty, not a stage play of smiles and lies. And standing there, shaking under the weight of betrayal, I realized, truth isn't what ruins families. Lies do. The sliding door creaked and Lauren stepped out onto the porch, arms folded tight against the chill. Her face was streaked with tears, eyes red and swollen. "David," she whispered, "please, we can fix this. I'll end it with Ryan. Today, right now. We can go to therapy. We can start over." Her words hit me like stones. Therapy? Start over? 6 months of lies couldn't be scrubbed away with a counselor's notepad and a few promises. She reached for my hand, but I pulled it back. "Start over?" I said, my voice flat. "You already wrote the ending, Lauren. You wrote it in hotel rooms, in messages you signed 'I love you.'" She shook her head, desperate. "I didn't want to lose us. I didn't want to lose the girls. This family means everything to me." I stared at her, bitter laughter rising in my throat. "If it meant everything, you wouldn't have gambled it away." I shook my head slowly, the weight of it heavier than any argument. "No, Lauren, not this time. You don't patch a marriage with duct tape and good intentions. Trust isn't a detail, it's the whole thing. And once it's gone, there's nothing left to build on." Her lips trembled. "But I love you. I love our girls. Doesn't that count for something?" I clenched my jaw. Love without trust is just noise. You can tell me 1,000 times you love me, but those words don't mean a damn thing when you're sneaking out to someone else's bed. Trust is everything. And you killed it. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she whispered, "So that's it?" I looked at the house behind me, the chalk drawings, the bicycles, the life we'd built, and felt my heart break all over again. "That's it," I said, "because trust isn't negotiable. Not for me, not ever." The screen door creaked again, and this time it wasn't Lauren. Chloe stood there in her socks, hair messy from her nap, clutching the stuffed rabbit she never went anywhere without. Her big brown eyes blinked between us. "Daddy?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why is Mom leaving?" My throat closed. How do you answer that when your 9-year-old is staring up at you like the world just cracked open? Lauren covered her mouth with her hand, shoulders shaking. I crouched down to Chloe's height, forcing my voice steady. Sweetheart, Mom and Dad need to figure some things out. Grown-up things. But you're yelling, she said, clutching the rabbit tighter. You never yell. That cut deeper than any text. I swallowed hard, brushing a strand of hair from her face. It's going to be okay, Chloe. I promise. No matter what happens, you'll always have me. I took Chloe's tiny hands in mine, her stuffed rabbit squished between us. Her eyes were wide, waiting for an answer I didn't want to give. I forced myself to speak slowly, gently. Sweetheart, I said, sometimes adults make mistakes, big ones, and when they do, it hurts the people they love. Mom made a bad choice. Chloe frowned, her lower lip trembling. Like when I broke your coffee mug? I shook my head softly. No, not like that. Some mistakes you can glue back together. Some, you can't. This is one of those. She clutched the rabbit tighter, tears forming. Does that mean Mom doesn't love us? The question gutted me. I pulled her into my arms. No, Chloe. Your mom loves you and your sister more than anything. That will never change. But loving someone doesn't erase a bad choice. Behind me, Lauren sobbed quietly. And I knew Chloe understood more than I wanted her to. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, as Lauren dragged the old blue suitcase from the closet. The zipper's metallic rasp cut through the silence like a blade. Every thud of folded clothes landing in the case felt like a hammer striking the coffin of our marriage. She didn't look at me, not once. Her hands shook as she stuffed sweaters, shoes, the framed photo of her with the girls at the lake. I almost told her to leave it, but stopped. Let her take the picture. The memory's tainted anyway. Chloe sat on the bed, clutching her rabbit, eyes wide. Olivia hovered at the door, jaw clenched, watching her mother dismantle 15 years in under an hour. No shouting now, no explanations left, just the hollow sound of fabric and zippers and broken promises. Finally, Lauren snapped the suitcase shut. The click echoed through the room like a verdict. And none of us needed words to know. Everything had changed. Lauren stood by the bed, her suitcase at her feet, her hands twisting together like she wanted to pray. David, please, she whispered. We can still fix this. I'll prove it to you. I'll do anything. Just don't end us like this. I stared at her, my chest heaving, the walls of the bedroom closing in. Fix this? My voice cracked, raw. You don't fix betrayal. You don't erase 6 months of lies with promises you should have made before you broke everything. Her tears streamed faster. I was lonely. I was lost. Stop. I stepped closer, pointing at the suitcase. You weren't lost. You were chasing a thrill, sneaking into hotel rooms, whispering to him while our girls were asleep. That wasn't loneliness, Lauren. That was a choice. Her knees buckled as the words hit, and I delivered the final blow, my voice steady, cold. You chose thrill over family, and now you've lost both. I pointed at the suitcase, my jaw tight, voice stripped of anything but steel. You have 1 hour, Lauren, 1, then you're gone. Her eyes widened in shock. You can't be serious. This is our home. I shook my head slowly. It was our home. You burned it the moment you let another man inside it, even if only through a phone screen. This roof belongs to me and our daughters now. You forfeited your place here. She stepped closer, hands outstretched, pleading. David, don't do this. Think about the girls. I am, I snapped, cutting her off. That's the only reason I'm not throwing your suitcase into the street right now. You have 60 minutes to finish packing, say goodbye, and walk out that door. The clock on the nightstand ticked loudly between us, every second hammering the truth deeper. She sobbed, clutching the suitcase handle. For the first time, she realized there was no bargaining left. Lauren carried the suitcase downstairs, her face pale, lips trembling. Olivia and Chloe sat curled together on the couch, sensing what was coming. When their mother knelt in front of them, Chloe clutched her rabbit so tight I thought the stuffing would burst. Sweethearts, Lauren whispered, her voice breaking. Mom loves you more than anything in this world. Don't ever forget that. Chloe shook her head violently, tears streaming. Then don't go. Stay here. She buried her face in Lauren's shoulder, sobbing so hard her tiny frame shook. Olivia didn't cry. She just stared, her jaw set, eyes burning with questions she was too young to voice. Finally, she said flatly, "Why him, Mom?" Lauren flinched like she'd been slapped. She kissed their foreheads, leaving wet streaks on their skin. "I'll see you soon, I promise." As she stood, suitcase in hand, Chloe's cry split the room. And in that sound, every ounce of my anger twisted into raw, unbearable grief. The door closed with a hollow thud, the kind that echoes long after the sound is gone. I stood in the living room, the girls pressed against me, while Lauren's footsteps faded down the walkway. She didn't look back. Not once. The suitcase wheels rattled against the concrete until silence swallowed everything. That night, after I tucked the girls into bed, I walked into the master bedroom and stopped cold. The sheets were still pulled back from that morning, her pillow faintly carrying the scent of her shampoo. I sat on the edge of the mattress, staring at the empty space where she used to be. 15 years, and it was the first time I'd slept alone. The house creaked differently, heavier, every sound reminding me that she wasn't coming back. My hand touched the cold pillow beside me, and for the first time all day, the fury drained away, leaving nothing but the hollow ache of being alone. The first days blurred into one long stretch of exhaustion. Morning used to be a two-person job, Lauren packing lunches while I checked backpacks. Now it was just me, burning toast while Olivia reminded Chloe to brush her teeth. I spilled coffee on my tie twice before we even made it out the door. At night, the weight hit harder. Homework spread across the dining table, dishes piled in the sink, Chloe crying for her mother while Olivia tried to act like it didn't bother her. I tucked them in, kissed their foreheads, then sat alone with a stack of bills and the crushing silence of the house. I felt like I was splitting in two, father and mother, provider and comforter. Every role Lauren once played now fell on me, and though I stumbled, I refused to let my daughters see me break. They'd already lost enough. I wouldn't let them lose the feeling of home too. It was just past midnight when I heard the cry. High, sharp, panicked. I shot out of bed and found Chloe tangled in her blankets, tears streaking her face. "Daddy!" she sobbed, clutching at the air. "Don't let Mom leave!" The words crushed me harder than any punch. I sat on the edge of her bed, pulling her into my arms. Her little body shook against my chest, the rabbit doll mashed between us. "Shh, sweetheart," I whispered, rocking her gently. "You're safe. I've got you." She hiccuped through sobs. "Why won't she come back?" I swallowed hard, pressing my chin into her hair. Sometimes grown-ups make choices we can't understand. But you have me. I'll always be here. Always. Slowly, her breathing steadied, her grip loosening as she drifted back to sleep in my arms. I laid her down carefully, tucking the blanket around her, but when I walked back to my empty bed, the silence screamed louder than ever. The phone buzzed on the counter the next morning, her name flashing across the screen. For a long moment, I just stared at it, debating whether to answer. Finally, I swiped. Her voice was soft, desperate. "David, I ended it. With Ryan. It's over." I gripped the edge of the counter, my jaw tightening. "Ended it? After 6 months of lying, you think a phone call makes it clean?" "I made a mistake," she said quickly. "A terrible one. But I love you. I love the girls. I can come home. We can work this out." I let out a bitter laugh. "You don't erase betrayal like deleting an email, Lauren. You don't get to burn down a house and then act surprised when there's nothing left to live in." Her breath hitched on the line. "Please, just let me prove it to you." But all I could hear were the lies still echoing in every room of this house. I pressed the phone harder to my ear, my voice low but sharp. "Ending an affair doesn't erase 6 months of lies, Lauren. You don't get to flip a switch and call yourself faithful again." She sniffled on the other end, but I stopped. "Doesn't that mean something?" I almost laughed, but it came out hollow. "It means you ran out of excuses. It means you got caught. That's all it means." "David, please," she whispered. "I want our family back." I closed my eyes, staring at the empty chair across the kitchen table. "Our family," I repeated slowly. "You destroyed that when you decided his arms mattered more than your vows." when you looked me in the eye every morning and lied." Her silence stretched long, broken only by her ragged breathing. And in that silence, I knew the truth. She wanted forgiveness, but what she'd taken could never be returned. After I hung up, the house felt heavier than ever. My thoughts were a storm I couldn't quiet. So I did what I knew best. I wrote. I pulled out a yellow legal pad, drew a line down the middle, and labeled the columns: facts and lies. Every detail spilled onto the page: dates she'd claimed to work late, nights she said she was meeting friends, receipts I remembered from her purse, gas stations across town, dinners she never mentioned. I matched them against the messages on her phone, each one fitting like a puzzle piece into the ugly picture. It wasn't about revenge, it was about clarity. If she tried to twist the story, if the girls ever asked one day why their family shattered, I wanted the truth written in black and white. Page after page, the ledger grew, cold, methodical. My marriage might have been built on lies, but this record wouldn't be. This was mine. In the middle of the chaos, Olivia surprised me. She carried herself with a seriousness that didn't belong on a 12-year-old's shoulders. When Chloe cried for her mom, Olivia would curl beside her, whispering, "It's okay, you've still got me." She started setting the table without being asked, checking Chloe's homework before I even got home from work. One night, I found her folding laundry, her small hands struggling with shirts twice her size. "You don't have to do that," I told her gently. She just shrugged. "Someone has to help." It broke me, seeing my daughter step into the role her mother abandoned. I wanted her to stay a kid, to worry about friends and school dances, not filling the gaps left by betrayal. But at the same time, I was proud. In her eyes, I saw resilience, the same fire I'd always believed ran through this family, and I silently promised her I wouldn't let it burn out. Friday evening came faster than I wanted. Lauren pulled up outside, her car packed with bags and nervous energy. The girls stood on the porch, Chloe bouncing on her toes with conflicted excitement, Olivia stiff as a soldier. "Ready to see my new place?" Lauren asked with a shaky smile. Chloe nodded quickly, but Olivia just crossed her arms. They drove off, and for the first time the house was silent. No cartoons in the background, no questions about dinner, just me and four walls. Hours later, Lauren texted a photo. The girls sitting on the floor of her new apartment, pizza boxes and mismatched chairs, Chloe grinning, Olivia frowning at the camera. I stared at the image until my eyes blurred. The apartment looked temporary, cold, like a hotel trying to pretend it was a home. And I hated myself for the jealousy that bubbled up. Because even broken, Lauren still got to tuck them in that night. When the girls came back Sunday night, Chloe ran straight into my arms. Her rabbit was tucked under one arm, her eyes bright with the kind of hope only a child can carry. "Daddy," she said, breathless, "Mom's apartment is nice, but she told me she misses this house. Maybe she'll come home again." Her words stabbed deeper than any betrayal. I glanced at Olivia, who stood behind her, arms crossed, shaking her head almost imperceptibly. She knew better. She'd seen more than Chloe could understand. I knelt, smoothing Chloe's hair back from her face. "Sweetheart," I said softly, "sometimes when people make big mistakes, they can't just come back like before." "But she wants to," Chloe insisted, gripping tighter. "She said so." I kissed her forehead, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Even if she wants to, it doesn't erase what's been done." Her little brow furrowed, and in that moment, I realized I'd have to break her heart again, piece by piece, until she understood. The phone buzzed again that night. Lauren's voice cracked the moment I answered. "David, please, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I know I hurt you, but if you forgive me, we can put this behind us." I closed my eyes, leaning against the counter. "Lauren, listen carefully. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing." She went quiet. I pressed on. "I can forgive you one day. For me, for the girls. Forgiveness means I won't let this betrayal poison the rest of my life. But trust?" I paused, my throat tight. "Trust is different. Trust is earned. Built brick by brick, day after day, and you smashed it to dust." Her breath hitched. "So forgiveness doesn't mean another chance?" "No," I said flatly. "Forgiveness is me letting go of hate. Trust is what makes a marriage possible, and without it, there's nothing left to rebuild." The silence on the other end told me she finally understood. 2 nights later, a knock echoed through the house. I opened the door to find Lauren standing there, hair damp from the rain, eyes swollen from crying. Her suitcase wasn't with her, just trembling hands clasped together like a beggar. "David," she whispered, "please, I can't do this without you. I ended it. I've changed. Just let me come home. For the girls. For us." Behind me, Olivia hovered in the hallway, arms crossed tight. Chloe peeked out from her bedroom, her little face lighting with hope. My chest tightened at the sight. I stepped onto the porch, closing the door halfway behind me. "Lauren, crying doesn't rebuild trust. Promises don't undo 6 months of lies. You want to come back, but what you want isn't the same as what's right." Her knees buckled, sobs spilling into the night. I fought the urge to comfort her. Instead, I let the door close gently, leaving her tears on the porch where they belonged. I found her still sitting on the porch step, rain dripping from the gutter onto her shoulders. Her sobs slowed as I stood over her. For a long moment, I just stared, searching for words that wouldn't cut but still carried the truth. Finally, I spoke. "You want to come back, Lauren, but you don't understand. You didn't just hurt me. You killed trust." She lifted her head, mascara streaking her cheeks. "I can earn it back. Give me time." I shook my head, the bitterness thick in my throat. Trust isn't a bank account you refill after you've emptied it. It's a lifeline, and once you cut it, it's gone. Dead. Her lips parted, but no words came. The rain filled the silence instead. "I'll raise our daughters with honesty," I said, turning toward the door. "Because that's the one thing I owe them more than keeping this house intact, truth." And with that, I stepped back inside, leaving her in the storm. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table with a black coffee and my ledger spread open beside me. Names, dates, times, 6 months of betrayal written in my own hand. I flipped the last page shut, slid it into a folder, and picked up the phone. "Collins and Meyer, Family Law. How can we help you?" "My name is David Walker," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I need to file for divorce." The words hung in the air like a gavel strike. Final. Irrevocable. That afternoon, I met with the attorney. She listened as I laid out the story, flipping through the evidence I'd collected. "With this," she said, tapping the folder, "custody won't be contested. You're protecting your girls." Walking out of her office, the fall air felt sharper, cleaner. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't drowning in questions. The decision was made, the line was drawn, and there was no turning back. Collins spread my folder across the conference table like a crime scene. "In this jurisdiction," she said, tapping the messages, "an affair doesn't automatically decide property, but it's a serious disadvantage for Lauren in custody and credibility." She walked me through it, steady and clinical. "Judges care about stability, truthfulness, and who's been the reliable parent. Your ledger shows a 6-month pattern of deceit, hotel receipts, late-night absences, lies told in front of the kids. That erodes her standing." "What about support?" I asked. "Spousal support isn't a reward for bad behavior," she said. "If we show marital waste, money diverted to the affair, her claim weakens. More important, we'll move for temporary orders, primary custody with you, parenting time for her, neutral exchanges, no overnights with third parties around the children." She slid a checklist toward me. "Phone records, bank statements, a simple affidavit. We keep it factual, not vindictive." I exhaled for what felt like the first time in weeks. Cold, yes, but finally, solid ground. The courtroom was colder than I expected. Fluorescence, wood veneer, the soft scratch of a clerk's pen. Lauren sat 2 tables over, eyes red, hands knotted in her lap. When the judge spoke, the room shrank to his voice alone. "In the best interests of the children," he said, "the court awards temporary primary physical custody to Mr. Walker. Legal custody remains joint, but Mr. Walker holds tie-breaking authority on education and medical issues pending review." He read conditions like a metronome, a structured parenting schedule, alternating weekends and 1 midweek dinner for Lauren, exchanges at the police substation lobby, no unrelated overnight guests when the girls are present, use of a co-parenting app for all communication, individual counseling for each child, a parenting class for both parties, financial disclosures within 30 days. Lauren's attorney asked for reconsideration. Denied. The gavel didn't slam, it just touched wood, quiet and final. Outside, the air felt different. Not lighter, just steadier. I texted Olivia and Chloe the same thing. I'm on my way. Dad's got you. On the drive home from court, Olivia stared out the window, jaw set the way mine gets when I'm doing math in my head. When we pulled into the driveway, she finally spoke. So, we stay here. That's good. No trembling, no tears. Just a verdict. She hauled her backpack inside, asked about dinner, and started unloading the dishwasher like the decision had simply confirmed what she already knew. Stability lives here. Chloe was a different storm. She trailed behind me, small hands twisting the ear of her rabbit. Does this mean Mom lost? She asked. I knelt to meet her eyes. It means the judge wants you and Liv to have a calm place to sleep. You'll still see Mom. She nodded, then shook her head, then nodded again, caught between relief and loyalty. At bedtime, she whispered, If I'm happy here, is that betraying her? I tucked the blanket under her chin. Loving one parent never means you stop loving the other, I said. It just means you're safe. She clung to my hand until sleep came. The papers were thicker than I imagined. Stipulations, schedules, disclosures, our life flattened into paragraphs and margins. Collins turned pages with a calm I envied, flagging where to sign, date here, initial there. I read every line even though I already knew the ending. Are you ready? She asked. I uncapped the pen. My hand didn't shake. Not anymore. I wrote David Walker in blue ink over and over like carving a name into wet concrete. Property division, custody terms, final decree. Each signature felt less like revenge and more like closing the door I kept staring at. Across town, Lauren was signing her copies. No courtroom drama, no speeches, just two people ending a promise in duplicate originals. When it was done, the notary stamped the last page. A soft thunk that sounded nothing like a gavel, yet ended more than any verdict ever could. I slipped my wedding ring off and set it on the manila folder. Not rage, not triumph, just a quiet, exhausted relief. Outside, the sky was ordinary. For the first time, that felt like enough. A year can sand sharp edges down to something you can hold without bleeding. The house runs on a rhythm now. School drop-offs, late-night lunches for tomorrow, Saturday pancakes with too much syrup. I still catch the empty side of the bed some mornings, but it doesn't punch a hole in me anymore. It's just space. News of Lauren's new boyfriend didn't come from her. It came over dinner when Olivia said, matter of fact, Mom's seeing someone. Chloe nodded like it was weather. His name is Mark. He has a dog. I felt the reflexive heat rise, jealousy's ghost, then let it pass. We have boundaries, written and lived. No overnights with unrelated adults when the girls are present, neutral exchanges, the co-parenting app for anything that matters. I messaged Lauren. Thanks for the heads up next time. Keep the rules tight. She replied, understood. That night, Chloe asked if Mark would come to her recital. He can cheer for you, I said, but I'm your dad. Front row's mine. She smiled, and the house felt steady again. It was after homework, dishes drying in the rack, when Olivia lingered at the table instead of heading to her room. She spoke without drama, eyes steady. Dad, I used to think you were too hard on Mom. She traced a circle in a water ring. But today, I heard her on the phone. She thought I was in the hallway with Chloe. I waited. She told Aunt Jenna, if David hadn't checked, I'd still have both. Olivia looked up. Both, Dad. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I learned. Just, both. She exhaled. Mark was there too. She kept her phone face down, stepped outside twice to take calls. It felt familiar. Something in me unclenched. Not joy, not spite, just a grim kind of certainty. The line I drew hadn't been punishment. It was protection. I don't hate her, Olivia added, but I get why you ended it. I nodded, throat tight. You don't have to hate anyone to tell the truth, I said. And I promised you, we live there now. The adaptation didn't happen in a week. It happened in 100 small ways I almost missed. Olivia stopped checking the door at 6 p.m. to see if a second car pulled in. She built routines, calendar reminders for Chloe's library day, a shared grocery list where she added cereal before it ran out. She still kept her guard up with Lauren, but the edge softened. Calls ended with, "Love you again," not just, "okay." Chloe's drawings changed. The stick figure family used to have 4 bodies under one roof. Now she drew 2 houses, the same sun smiling over both. She slept through most nights, no more sprinting into my room at 2 a.m., rabbit in tow. On Saturday mornings, she flipped pancakes while I read out measurements, announcing, "We're a team." We laughed more, bad dad jokes, music too loud while cleaning. It wasn't the life I planned, but it was ours. I realized adaptation isn't pretending nothing happened. It's deciding what still matters, and doing that on purpose every day. It happened so quietly I almost missed it. For months, bedtime came with the same whisper from Chloe's pillow. "Dad, when is Mom coming back?" Some nights I'd redirect. Some nights I'd just hold her until the question dissolved into sleep. Then, one Tuesday, she brushed her teeth, lined her rabbit on the nightstand, and climbed under the blanket without asking. We read a chapter, turned off the lamp, and she curled into my side. "Tomorrow's art day," she said, voice light. "I'm painting 2 houses with the same sky." No tremor. No searching my face for a promise I couldn't give. I kissed her hair and felt something unclench inside me, grief exchanging places with acceptance. It wasn't a celebration. It was a settling. The ground stopped shifting. Later, I stood in the hallway and realized how loud the house used to be with that one question. Now it was just the hum of the heater, Olivia's quiet music down the hall, and my daughter sleeping without waiting for an answer I never should have owed her. I used to think pain came in explosions, shouting, slammed doors, glass on tile. Mine arrived as a quiet accumulation, a lit screen, a signature, a bedtime question that wouldn't die. When I look back now, the timeline is clear. Shock, anger, bargaining with myself, then the long cold of doing the next right thing. There were days I wanted to drive until the map ran out. Instead, I came home, cooked dinner, signed school forms, folded little t-shirts that still smelled like crayons and soap. People ask if I hate Lauren. I don't. Hate is a leash. It keeps you circling the same post. What I feel is simpler. Clarity. She made a choice. I made a boundary. The cost was our marriage. The dividend was a house where my daughters sleep without guessing which version of their parents will walk in. If there's a lesson, it's this. Dignity isn't loud. It's the hand you keep steady while the rest of you shakes, and it leaves a cleaner scar. I used to wait for the day it wouldn't hurt at all, like I'd wake up and the air would taste brand new. That day never came. What came instead was something quieter and truer. Betrayal scars, not wounds. Wounds close. You forget where they were. Scars learn to live with you. You stop tracing them in the mirror every morning, but they're there when the light hits a certain way, reminding you of what burned you and what you walked through. There are triggers I don't pretend away. Phones left face down on tables, late night running behind texts, the smell of her shampoo aisle at the store. They flare, then pass. I don't chase them. I don't let them drive. I let them teach. My girls asked once if I was over it. I told them the truth. You don't get over a fire. You rebuild with better codes, stronger beams, clearer exits. We didn't erase the past. We built a life honest enough to carry it, and that is enough. After the smoke cleared, I stopped measuring fatherhood in gifts and started measuring it in minutes. I blocked Friday nights for us. No emails, no quick calls. We made a ritual of it. Olivia picks the movie, Chloe picks the snack. I burn the popcorn and pretend it's a feature, not a flaw. Saturdays became errand adventures, hardware store, car wash, grocery runs where Chloe drives the cart like a demolition derby, and Olivia runs logistics with a checklist on her phone. I show up more and earlier. Piano recitals, parent-teacher meetings, dentist chairs where I hold a hand through the hum of the drill. I learned Chloe's braid the way you learn a knot on a boat, slowly, then all at once. Olivia and I started a morning run. We don't talk much, but I can hear her breathing beside me, steady, and that's its own conversation. Time didn't fix everything. It made something better. Trust in the small, ordinary moments, the kind you can't fake, the kind that outlasts storms. They scheduled the awards assembly for 3:30 p.m., that no man's land where working parents gamble on traffic. I left early anyway, tie in my pocket, coffee cooling in the passenger seat. The gym smelled like varnish and oranges. Kids fidgeted on metal bleachers while a microphone squealed itself awake. Math excellence, Olivia Walker. My daughter stood, shoulders squared, chin high. She didn't scan the room for two parents. She looked straight ahead and walked like she belonged there. When she turned to the audience with her certificate, her eyes found me instantly. Front row, aisle seat, phone lowered. I wanted both hands free to clap. I was the only parent there for her. No split applause, no divided focus. Just one chair, mine, anchored like bedrock. Pride hit so hard it stung. Afterward, she didn't say much. She just tucked the certificate into her backpack and slipped her hand into mine as we crossed the parking lot. "Dinner?" I asked. "Burgers," she said. "Extra fries," I answered. Her smile did the rest. Chloe's confidence didn't come back with a trumpet. It tiptoed in with crayons. One afternoon, she sprawled on the kitchen floor, tongue between her teeth, sketching on butcher paper I'd taped down to save the table. "Don't look yet," she ordered, bossy in the best way. Olivia hovered with her water bottle, pretending not to supervise. When Chloe finally rolled the page toward me, the drawing hit harder than I expected. 3 figures. Me in a lopsided tie, Olivia with long legs and a ponytail, Chloe in a purple dress, standing in front of our house. 2 windows, 1 door, a rabbit scribbled by her feet. Above us, a huge yellow sun stretched across the whole sky. "No tears," she announced, matter of fact. I didn't need them. I swallowed. "It's perfect," she pointed with a crayon. "That's you. Big, because you carry stuff." Then she added a tiny heart on each of our shirts. "So people know." Olivia bumped her shoulder. "Frame it?" "Front hall," I said. Chloe grinned. "Where the sun can see it." I decided our new life would have no corners to hide in. I put a whiteboard calendar on the fridge. Work trips, dentist appointments, piano, soccer, color-coded so no one guesses what's coming. The girls know my passcode, my location stays on, and if I'm running late, I send a picture of the clock on the wall where I am. Not because they demand it, because I want the air here to stay clear. Money got simpler too. 1 checking account, 1 budgeting app the girls can peek at when they ask how groceries and gas add up. It's not about dollars, it's about letting them watch me tell the truth in numbers. We do Sunday state of the house meetings, highs, lows, 1 fix for next week. If I blow it, snapped, forgot, overpromised, I say it out loud and ask forgiveness the same way I'd expect them to. Transparency didn't make us perfect. It made us predictable. And predictability, I've learned, is what safety feels like when the storm finally passes. Lauren still shows up on Fridays at 6, right on schedule. We keep exchanges neutral. Police substation lobby, quick hugs, no side conversations. The girls wheel their overnight bags out. Chloe chatters about art class. Olivia asks about pickup time like she's confirming a flight. I nod, hand over the backpack with meds and the printed calendar, and we each play our part. She's a mother on weekends. Photos come through the co-parenting app. Pancakes, park swings, a dog with its head out the car window. I react with a thumbs up, nothing more. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're rails. They keep the train from tipping. When the girls come home Sunday night, the temperature shifts. Chloe is sleepy and soft, smelling like someone else's laundry detergent. Olivia is quiet the first hour, as if she needs to repressurize. We don't debrief, I don't fish. If they share, I listen. If they don't, I make hot chocolate and ask about homework. Lauren and I don't fight anymore. We just orbit, same sun, separate paths for the sake of 2 smaller planets. There's a particular hunger that comes after betrayal, the urge to know everything. Who she's seeing, where they went, what time the texts land. For months, curiosity nipped at my heels like a stray dog. I almost fed it. I almost asked the girls harmless-sounding questions, scrolled too far in the co-parenting app, Googled more than pickup locations. One night I caught myself drafting a message. "Are you serious about him?" Does he sleep over when the girls aren't there? I stared at the screen, then deleted every word. That's when I decided. I will not ask. Not now. Not ever. It isn't grace for her, it's protection for us. Knowledge I don't need becomes shrapnel. I'll have to pull out later. My world is simpler. School drop-offs, dentist reminders, piano recitals, scrambled eggs on Saturdays. Her world is hers. When the girls come home, I ask about art projects and algebra, not apartments and boyfriends. Peace, I've learned, is sometimes just disciplined ignorance, and discipline is a form of love. I started answering texts again, not just the logistics ones, carpool, practice time, but the invitations I dodged for years. Thursday poker at Nate's garage, cards sticky from spilled beer and stories we've all told before. Saturday mornings, a dad's basketball run where my jump shot woke up like a limb that had fallen asleep. Awkward at first, then warm with blood. I said yes to a neighborhood cookout and remembered I can talk about movies and ribs without mentioning court orders. I grabbed coffee with a coworker who used to be just the guy in Risk, and we argued about baseball like it mattered. It did, if only because it wasn't about me. I told the girls I'd be out some evenings, not hiding, planning. Where? Chloe asks. Nate's, I say. Text when you're back, Olivia replies, mock serious, and we all smile. I'm not auditioning for a new life. I'm widening the hallway of the one I have, letting more people walk through it. Turns out, belonging is a muscle. You rebuild it by showing up. I used to imagine justice as a raised voice, a slammed door, a perfect speech that scorches the paint. But rage is a fireworks show, loud, bright, and gone. What changed my life weren't explosions. It was paperwork, dates, screenshots, calm sentences that started with, on March 12th. When the storm hit, I didn't scream. I documented. I set boundaries. I showed up for my kids. Receipts don't love you back, but they don't lie to you either. They gave me ground to stand on when the room tilted. Judges listen to facts. Children trust routines. And a man can look himself in the mirror when he chooses dignity over theater. There were moments I wanted to torch everything, to make my pain visible. Instead, I folded laundry, signed forms, kept promises. The ledger stayed in a drawer, the girls stayed in their beds. That's what winning looks like in real life. Not trophies, not applause, just steady hands, closed loops, and a home that's finally quiet because the truth holds. Our house sounds different now. 3 toothbrushes in the cup, 3 plates on the table, 3 coats on the hook by the door. Smaller, yes, but not lesser. On weeknights, we orbit the kitchen like a practice team. Olivia chops, Chloe stirs, I burn the garlic and get teased for it. We eat with phones face up, not because anyone's checking, but because no one needs to hide. Love shows up in small places. A sticky note in my briefcase. Good luck, Dad. Chloe's rabbit patched for the 3rd time. Olivia's playlist waiting in the car because she knows which songs pull me back from a bad day. We don't pretend we're the family we used to be. We're the family that stayed. Sometimes I catch them laughing on the couch, heads tipped together, and feel the ache flare, then soften. 3 people, 1 roof, honest air. It turns out love doesn't need symmetry. It needs daylight, consistency, and a door that always opens when you've had enough of the world. I used to think strength was holding a broken thing together. Now I know strength is knowing when to set it down. I didn't win every day, some nights were just survival, but I kept my promises, and the house learned my daughter's breathing again. We built a life with windows open, calendars you can read, phones you don't flip, words that match the facts. The scar didn't vanish, it stopped running the show. People still ask if I'd do it differently. I look at Olivia's steadiness, Chloe's easy sleep, the quiet hum of a home that doesn't lie, and I know the answer. I didn't save my marriage. I saved my children's trust in what love is supposed to sound like. Some men forgive, some rebuild. For me, trust was non-negotiable. The wife's secret wasn't just hers. It was the truth I chose not to live with anymore. I chose dignity over illusion, and that made all the difference. Your turn. What would you do? Forgive or walk?